Alrighty, welcome back to part 3 of the Cine2Nerdle Road to 2000 playing Phillip Seymour Hoffman. Before we jump into this video, I just wanted to mention that I am having so much fun making this series. I hope you're enjoying it as well. This is my first time trying anything on YouTube, and I've gotten a lot of love from the Reddit and Discord and YouTube side of things, but please let me know if there's anything you'd like to see to make this content more enjoyable for you. I'd love to hear the feedback. But with that said, why don't we just go ahead and get into some games? We last left off that hitting that 1200 rating. So let's see if we can get to 1300. I'm going to go ahead and find a game. And we have one here with one of those guest accounts that somebody didn't create an account. They just wanted to start playing. So I got Hans Zimmer here. So, one of my classics is It's Complicated. Go off with something that I know, something I love here, just to get us started, because it has so many different connections to Phillip Seymour Hoffman. So we'll see what my opponent gives us here. And they give us Meryl Streep. So few options that we could do here. One I've been doing recently is The Deer Hunter. We have about 3 connections in this movie, so we will see if they give us one of those so we can start this game off. Getting right into that win condition. Let's see. Oh, they're trying Bugsy Malone, trying to do something in that year. It's a strategy I do too. If I don't know who is in a movie, I just start trying to play any movie I know in that time range, and hopefully one of the actors is in it. But they do Death Becomes Her. So Meryl Streep, we know we have a connection, but I want to do my strategy here. If I played Meryl Streep, I would be on that 2X here. So Bruce Willis is in this. I don't know if we played this one yet, but he is also in Nobody's Fool. So that gives us a item on our win condition here. We're already 2 down because I have that Wilson volleyball to go ahead and give us 1 tick there. So, but yeah, I played this again just so that I can be in that 1X zone. So if they played, if I played a Meryl Streep, they could take me to some obscure movie I've never heard of and nail that 3-star down on Meryl Streep, and I might get stuck. So instead, they go Paul Newman. Now I can say my Paul Newman knowledge is not very vast. It kind of ends right here with Nobody's Fool. But one other one I know is Cars. Hopefully that is their extent of the Paul Newman knowledge. I had to play something here to get me in that 2nd star because I'm not sure who else is in this. So hopefully they don't play another older Paul Newman movie and get me stuck. But if they do, I have a skip and we'll go from there. And they do Cars 2. Great. Now, I feel like there's probably somebody I could play here. It's Helen Hunt who's in Twister. So sometimes with these animated movies, I go Invention of Lying because it has a wide array of cast. I also want to try Magnolia, but if it doesn't, I'm just going to go Marley and Me. I know Owen Wilson is in there. Of course, it gets me on that 2nd star here, but I feel pretty comfortable with Owen Wilson. But the reason I play this is because it does have Jennifer Aniston, who has a connection. So we'll go with that. But they do Starsky and Hutch. Now, I happen to know, just through other games, that Jason Bateman is in this, who's, of course, an Invention of Lying. So we got a little lucky there. I was feeling a little nervous about where we were at. That should send some alarm bells whenever we're in that 2nd X there. It's not a place you want to be. But luckily, our opponent didn't tramp us into anything. I know I had the skip just in case. But even then, sometimes things can get a little dicey. So they go Mean Girls. I don't think Rachel McAdams was in this one, unfortunately. So, I mean, we might as well try it. We'll try a Most Wanted Man, but yeah. I'm going to try Coneheads here. I knew Tim Meadows, I think, was in both of the Mean Girls ones. And this starts leading us down the path of maybe trying to get an Adam Sandler movie. This has one of those SNL movies, so hopefully they'll play something else that I can play. Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler. So wasn't a lot of good options. But you know what? They just forfeited. They ended the game. So we'll go ahead and get into the next one there. So I was starting to get a little nervous with that first game there. Like I said, we got into some dicey territory. Coneheads, I think, has the one connection, so it's not really in line with the strategy that I like to play, where all of my movies that I'm playing should have at least 2 to 3 connections. But we made it out okay, thankfully. So we'll keep going here. This is the movie that I had last time. I played It's Complicated via Hans Zimmer, so we'll see what they give us back here. We do have a connection through Eric Bana as well, so maybe they'll play something like that, and we can keep movies in that realm. But I always like to just kind of get a good grasp of what my opponent is playing. So just this is the standard kit, so nothing too crazy. We don't have Evil X or anything, but they keep us on Josh Hartnett. So let me think. I'm gonna try this. This is kind of what I've been doing recently. Lady in the Water, M Night Shyamalan here. So we do have a couple connections, but a lot of times with these M Night Shyamalan movies, unfortunately, they are not a connection, and they might just play another one. But there's a few of them, and including this one, so they get us started. So James Newton Howard that we have here is, of course, the Hunger Games composer. So we could do that. And yeah, why don't we just do that? We see it right there. Let's just go ahead and take it. There was what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix was in that one, who we have the master. So I was thinking about that. But again, we're in a situation where they're not blocking me. They might just let me play another Hunger Games. Uh-oh. And now they're blocked from playing another one. Now, of course, we do set ourselves up here for a couple of these 2 stars that they might try to lock us in. But again, we got that skip if we need it. And of course, this is a good example. I don't know who is in this movie. I'm going to use my cast here and see if anybody stands out. Not one I have heard of. So, this is why you try to avoid getting into this zone here. So I'm going to skip. Hopefully we don't get stuck here where they just keep digging us deeper into movies that I don't know, which is part of the risk of having a skip. An escape just takes you out, play something random. It's out of their control. With a skip, they get to kind of control the narrative and continue to play movies. If they know this line, maybe there's like a director that they know, and they can just keep playing these movies with obscure casts. So we'll see. Fingers crossed they use an escape because they don't know either, and they just get us out of here. And that's what happens. I kind of figured that might. So we have a few options. I think the simplest one here is so they're playing crime. So I'm going to go ahead and take one away from them and play Hot Fuzz. Now, we have a couple connections here, so hopefully they keep us. And Edgar Wright, his later films stopped including this same sort of cast of people, but luckily they play Shaun of the Dead, which does have a connection. And this is my last one here, so we'll go ahead and just take that win with Mission Impossible 3 with Simon Pegg. So very good. We get that one locked in there. So as we can see, as we've gotten into this 1200 range, it's getting into situations where it's getting a little dicey. I might need to be a little bit more careful with my strategy so I'm not getting locked into these scary situations. But again, it's always good to, once you finish a game, is if you have the time, kind of take a second and look back at the movies that were played, see if anything stands out, anything you could have played better. What I did want to show here is this Lady in the Water. If we open this up, so James Newton Howard, of course, did the Hunger Games movies. We also have Paul Giamatti has a connection, Jeffrey Wright, Bob Balaban. So a lot of good connections here. Again, their easy way out is to just play an M. Night Shyamalan movie that has maybe an obscure cast in it, but there's a hope there that they may play one of our actors here. So Lady in the Water, been one I've been playing recently. Anyways, let's leave this one. We'll jump into the next one. We got a good streak going, 18-0. We'll see how long we can keep that undefeated streak. I know we'll get caught up here eventually. So I see that we are playing science fiction. So I'm going to want to be careful about that, especially because they're going to be wanting to jump into those Hunger Games movies. They're just playing The Notebook. A couple escapes here. So pretty standard kit again, nothing to be too worried about. And they play Tom Cruise here, who has a few connections. Tom Cruise, a lot of times I keep it simple. But here's one thing I've been doing, especially with opponents that have the Notebook, or yes, the Notebook lifeline. I'm going to play Edge of Tomorrow. And one thing I'm aware of here is I think the top two actors in this are Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. And what I hope is that they see Emily Blunt and say, oh, I can play one of those movies. And that sets me up to win one of those. So anytime they have the notebook, you can think about who are they going to see in that there and try to take it. But again, they just keep it with Tom Cruise, and we played this last round. We can go Mission Impossible 3. Now, we also have Magnolia, so maybe they'll play one of the Tom Cruise sci-fi ones, and they don't have a block, so it's open game, so now I can take that other Tom Cruise movie here. But really, my advice with this game is I think it is almost necessary to play with 3 blocks in your games, especially when you're learning a new win condition. You're trying to figure out what movies you can play. I think in order to remain competitive, you have to have the blocks. Now, they go a Julia Roberts movie here, so I'm going to do Closer. This is another one that's got at least 3 people who have connections. So I don't know if I've played this one yet, but it's one of my lines that I like to go down when I have Julia Roberts. So we have a couple options. We have Robin Williams we could play as in this, but we could also just finish off Julia Roberts here at that 3 stars. So let's just do that with Charlie Wilson's War. I do this because I know they'll see Tom Hanks here in their notebook, and Finch is a movie that's a sci-fi Tom Hanks movie that we'll have a connection to, so maybe they'll play that. There's also Cloud Atlas that I don't think has a connection, but they go A Man Called Otto here. So this is an interesting situation. So I don't know really who's in this other than Tom Hanks. If I play another one, I'm in that 2-star. Since I'm only 1 away, I think I'm going to use my cast here and just see if there's anything else I can do. But unfortunately, I don't think so. So I'm going to go Finch here. But, it's open for them to play something like Captain Phillips, where we might get stuck. But again, let's hope not. Let's see what they do. They haven't even played one of their win condition here, but they go Asteroid City. I think we have one here, Money for Nothing. No. Okay. I think Bob Balaban may be in these later Wes Anderson movies. So what if we tried Capote? And we got it. Back to the Bob Balaban, one of my favorites to pull there. But, here's a good example. Asteroid City, I wasn't sure who's in that. Let's go back and actually see and learn what connections we could have done here. So we actually have quite a few that I see. So Alexandra Desplat. Man, bad on pronouncing these composers. But they did Ides of March, so we can use them. Jeffrey Wright from Hunger Games. Edward Norton has 3 connections. I think Hope Davis has a connection. I'll have to confirm that. I think Hope Davis might be in Synecdoche, New York. So good options there. So yeah, anytime I'm not sure, I like to just go back and review what I could have played there and hopefully try to lock it in for future games. But we'll keep on moving into the next game here. Getting a little dicey, but I enjoy it. I enjoy that, so it's not just an easy win there. Get me into situations where it may be a little uncomfortable so I can learn a little bit and hopefully increase my repertoire for future games. But taking a little bit to find an opponent here. There we go. All right. Move on to the next one. See what we're up against here. So again, looks like a pretty standard kit. They are not going with the notebook, but we get Grizzly 2. Do I know anybody? Charlie Sheen? Was Charlie Sheen in Apocalypse Now? Oh, it's in one of those. Yeah, Platoon here. I knew he was in one of these like Vietnam movies. I feel like there's probably another one though. They play Scary Movie 5 here. And this has Kevin Hart. So what's a way that we could use Kevin Hart? And I think what I want to do is try Night School. Now, I guess Kevin Hart wasn't in this one. I knew he was in a lot of the later Scary movies, but I happened to get lucky here with going to night school. So we'll see if they play Kevin Hart, and they do. Now, again, it brings us to that situation where do I have anything better? Because I'm playing a second star Kevin Hart movie, and there's movies like Soul Plane that I don't know if I know everybody in it. So let me just check. Okay, no. Let's just do the one that I know, and we'll keep our fingers crossed there. So Kevin Hart and Along Came Polly. Some of the Will Ferrell movies has John Bryan as the composer, and there we go. Soul Plane. Now, I think there's a connection to Anchorman here. Yeah. Um, it wasn't who I thought. I thought David Koechner was in this one. I have to. This is one I'll have to look back and see who was in that. But they play Get Smart. I feel like there might be a weird connection that I played once just by guessing things, but I don't remember what that would be. So what I'm gonna do is play The Devil Wears Prada with Anne Hathaway here. I have a lot of connections in this movie, or a few connections. So now we have an opponent who's using the block here. So we have Matthew McConaughey who has a connection. So why don't we play Lincoln Lawyer? It's one I like to play when I can get that first star on Matthew McConaughey because it has quite a few people in it. We have Matthew McConaughey, Marissa Tomei, William H. Macy. All of those have connections. So we'll see if they play one of those, but they haven't been shy to use that block. So we'll see what happens. And there it is. So we're at the opportunity here where we need to play another good one. I'm trying to think what that could be. One I like to do. Let's do Wolf of Wall Street. Let's stick with something simple here now. Unfortunately, a lot of the Leonardo DiCaprio movies don't have connections, and they have like Critters 4 they can play for sci-fi. So they didn't do that though. Thankfully, they kept us here. So, normally when I get Moneyball, I like to go Cyrus, but that would put Jonah Hill on the 2 star here. So we have to think of something else here because I don't really want to do that. So what I can do here, do Molly's Game through Aaron Sorkin because we have another Aaron Sorkin connection. This also has Michael Cera, and a lot of people like to play them, but we get the Dark Tower. Now, normally I would love to see this because it has Matthew McConaughey, but we've already used up his connection, so we got to do something else. There's Stephen King I can do, but they're going to have a lot of sci-fi connections there. But let's try it. Let's go Green Mile. Thankfully, I'll be putting the first star on Stephen King, so they can only get one off of it if they play something else random. But they just go Cloud Atlas. And of course, I have Charlie Wilson's War. So I'll play that. Again, I wish there was another connection in Cloud Atlas. There's not one I can think of at the moment. And I think we're about to play another movie that we haven't played before. And that is When a Man Loves a Woman with Meg Ryan. So Meg Ryan, you'll see a lot of these. I think she's in a few of these early Tom Hanks movies. But of course, When Harry Met Sally is another one. So when you see Meg Ryan come up, you have When a Man Loves a Woman. So let's do a little review. Cloud Atlas. Who do we have here? Is there anybody? At least not in this list. I don't think any of these people have connections. Dark Tower, did I have anything? No, I don't see anything that stands out here. Dallas Buyers Club. Could I have maybe gone somewhere else? Jennifer Gardner. There's not a lot of good setups, I feel like, but of course they're in Invention of Lying, so I could have tried to set something up there. Soul Plane, I forgot. Yeah, I'm gonna look at Tom Arnold. That's who I was thinking of was in this, not David Koechner. It was Tom Arnold. So yeah, I think otherwise we played that all right. What about Get Hard or Get Hard? Okay, let's go ahead and continue on to the next one. Got another guest account. All right. So, I kind of always get a little nervous with these guest accounts because, I wonder if it's somebody that's maybe has a higher level account, maybe trained to do similar to what I'm doing and play these lower levels. So you never know what you're going to get with these accounts here. So John Malkovich, I could do being John Malkovich. We can start with that. We have quite a few connections in here. We'll see which path they like to go down. Charlie Kaufman did this. Very one of my favorite writers for movies. I really enjoy all of their movies. Being John Malkovich. I've talked about Synecdoche, New York, one of my favorite movies. Love Adaptation. So always a good shout out here. So we get an opportunity to play a Ryan Gosling movie. So of course, there's two trains of thought here. I could play something like Lars and the Real Girl, which means they're probably going to have to just play another Ryan Gosling movie, or I could play one that gives them a few options. But let's just do this. There comes a risk with doing something like this, of playing a movie that has maybe a more obscure cast. You hope that they're going to just play the cast member that you've set up here, but it's not guaranteed. They may know somebody who's in this and play another even further obscure movie. So it does come with its sense of risk there. I don't think there's anybody else in this one that I could play, so I'm going to just go Ides of March here. We'll get that second tick on Ryan Gosling. So a lot of times I prefer just to play movies that are more popular, that's got a more well-known cast in it, just so they can't do that thing where they happen to know an obscure cast member and play me in something that's a movie that I've never heard of. So sometimes if you present them with a lot of different options, they may say, "Oh, I'm not playing the movie that they link to, so this cast member must be okay," and that sets them up in the trap. But they play "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" So we'll go Big Lebowski here. I think this is something I said in the last video, that Coen Brothers is dangerous territory. A lot of good connections. So they may play another Coen Brothers movie, and I bet you if they do, we'll have a connection. But love to see those Coen Brother movies come up. Always a good sign that I'm going to have something I can play. John Turturro has a couple connections, different movies. So if they play him again, we have that. And Carter Burwell here. So we do have a connection here. So this is another one just to know. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. Composer for a lot of the Coen brother movies, but also just a composer for a lot of the Phillip Seymour Hoffman movies. So good to know which movies that they've done as well. When you see that name come up, you have that as an option. And this is one I don't think we've played, but it's got Ethan Hawke in it, Marissa Tomei, Amy Ryan, Michael Shannon. So a lot of good connections to be aware of here. And what I have found typically is that if your opponent is playing crime, this is going to be one of the ones that they play as well against me. But I use that Marissa Tomei and send them over to Cyrus. That's my line, and they get stuck there. So, anyways, anything I want to review here? I was on Drive. I don't think that there's anything I could have played. No. Nope. Okay. Well, with that said, let's keep it rolling. Keep that streak alive. We get another guest account here. So I see Hans Zimmer. Love to keep it just in the Hans Zimmer. Just play me something there. But they don't. So, a lot of the Miles Teller ones, I don't have good connections through, other than maybe War Dogs. So when I see Miles Teller, I like to try to find something else I can do there. So I think I did this last time. I'm going to go J.K. Simmons with the Tomorrow War, hoping that they see Chris Pratt on here and they play one of those, and I have some options there. So we'll see, but maybe they'll just keep it on J.K. Simmons, and we have some good options from there. But again, they keep it on Chris Pratt. So let's play the most famous one here, the Moneyball. Get that one knocked out of their way. Now they're playing action comedy. So when I see that, I typically actually try to avoid playing Jonah Hill, because they have like 21 Jump Street, which they don't go into. So I kind of like to stay out of that. But since we're in the Jonah Hill 2-star, I don't see a reason why we can't just play Cyrus. Let's get him down Cyrus here. So they can't trap me with Jonah Hill, but we still have good other options here. We got John C. Reilly, Marissa Tomei. they do John C. Riley. Now, again, I could play the John C. Riley one that'd give me the 2-star, but Richard Jenkins is in this, and that is a connection for God's Pocket. So we'll do that. But Richard Jenkins was the one of the, well, I guess the dad in Step Brothers. I think it was Will Ferrell's. No, I think it was John C. Riley's dad. Can never keep that straight. But yeah, if you're familiar with Step Brothers, Richard Jenkins was in that, and we have the connection through God's Pocket. So we are one away from our win condition. Are they going to play something or just run out of time? They use their lifeline here. We're in a situation where our opponents just aren't using those blocks. You know, with these guest accounts, I don't blame them. Looks like they're kind of playing the default kit. They may not be too familiar with what the lifelines are and what they do. So we get Boogie Nights here. I'll just send them down to Mystery Men. Leaves William H. Macy up and Ben Stiller, Hank Azaria. They go Hank Azaria. Now, if we want to just practice here, because Hank Azaria, I could play Along Came Polly, that put us in the 2-star range. But another good thing to note about the Simpsons movie that comes up, because you'll see it quite a bit, is Hans Zimmer surprisingly did the music for this. So you can play The Boat That Rocked. And I'm not sure we've played this one yet. It's one of the reasons why I like to play Hans Zimmer movies, because we have The Boat That Rocked. Also has the cast of a lot of the Edgar Wright movies. This is one I was trying to lead to earlier with like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. We have Bill Nighy, Nick Frost. So they're going to be in a lot of those. I don't know how you pronounce this. I'm going to guess, is it Reese Ifans is in a lot of the Taika Waititi movies. So if you're in one of those, you can try Boat That Rocked. Emma Thompson in a lot of movies. Kenneth Branagh did like Tenet, I think. He's in some of those like Dunkirk and Tenet and those Agatha Christie movies, like the Something of the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express, so those type of things. But let me just look back here. No, I think this was a pretty clean game here, so we'll go ahead and leave and jump into the next one. Oh, we're jumping up quite a bit in rating here. We get a 1578. So this one I might have to be a little bit more focused here if we want to get that win. Our opponent's playing Martin Scorsese, so what do we want to do here? Well, maybe it's a little risky. I'm going to do It's Complicated. Now, the risk with this is that Alec Baldwin has a connection to Martin Scorsese, so they may want to try to trap me into something there. But I have my block, so I can use that. But they go Death Becomes Here. Ooh, unfortunately, they used their block, and I can't even play it yet. So I think that might have just been a waste of a block, unfortunately. I'm surprised it even lets you do that. So I could play another Meryl Streep movie or a Bruce Willis. One I'll go ahead and do here is Hudson Hawk. I've been trying this one recently, and it seems like a lot of people are just playing Bruce Willis off of it. They don't seem to know, and that's what we see here. Now, I don't think that there's anybody else, and I can take my time here and really think they don't have a block. I don't have to try to sneak something in here. Now, I've got Nobody's Fool. I think this may have been one that like Spencer Breslin was in, but I don't have any connection there. So let's just try it. Again, it's a little scary to be in that 2x zone. So hopefully that doesn't come back. I will go ahead and put a block here in case they use their cast. Howard Shore did the music for this, and Howard Shore did The Departed with Martin Scorsese. But we were in this situation earlier. That's the risk of playing Nobody's Fool. So we'll play Cars. Okay, so they do get us locked in here. It's the situation I wanted to avoid. I'll use my cast. Robert Redford, I know, did a quiz show with Martin Scorsese, was in this, didn't direct it, but starred in it. Now, I'll go ahead and play my next one, then I'll say what I was going to say. I think Robert Redford was also in Indecent Proposal that has Woody Harrelson in it, who we have connections with. Now, I think a lot of people's instinct is whenever you're playing against an actor or a director or any of these people-specific win conditions, is to try to play their movies and lock them out. But I actually believe that that's not a great strategy. And the reasoning is because they are very familiar with these movies. They've probably studied them, they know them. So A, they may know obscure members of cast in these movies that you're taking away, and they may send you in lines that you don't know anybody. But it also just keeps the ball in their court because you're playing a movie, then they can then play a movie that sets them up for them to get another win condition. So if all you're doing is playing their movies away from them, they're going to be the one really driving the game because they're going to be the one sending it off again and kind of laying those traps that I like to play, where you're playing movies that share multiple cast members that have win conditions. So I actually try to avoid just going through and playing all of their movies because I have found when people do that to me, that I don't mind it so much. And as long as you have a good repertoire of movies to play, then you shouldn't be too worried because unless they've done as much studying as you have, you should still have the upper hand. But I want to go back here because I kind of held up on the kid here. I just want to confirm. Yeah, Spencer Breslin was on this one. See if there's anything else I could have done. Nothing stands out here. So I think we probably still did the right thing. And then for some reason they gave up. I'm not sure why. Maybe they didn't know anybody in Indecent Proposal and they were just like, I'm done. I'm out of here. So we will go on to the next one. While we're waiting, I'm going to try to get in a drink of water real quick. So we beat our first 1500 there. That got us quite a big rating boost, I think. We start off with a James Newton Howard movie. We'll see if they keep us in that. They play Super Bad, which has, of course, Jonah Hill. So wouldn't be too crazy just to go ahead and immediately jump into Cyrus. Let's just go ahead and get that one off the list here. I want to check here. They're playing science fiction. They don't have anything like The Notebook or anything. But let's just go ahead and take Moneyball. Get that one out of the way. We'll see if we can also get in Invention of Lying. Maybe. So they play 12 Monkeys here that has Bruce Willis. So what if we just played what we did earlier, Hudson Hawk? Now, of course, there's science fiction movies like Armageddon or Fifth Element. I could have played. I don't know why they're not playing it. I don't why are they not playing the science fiction ones? I'm gonna go ahead and do Nobody's Fool here. And don't do Paul Newman. Come on. Let's just can we get one where we don't have to play Paul Newman? Maybe just do Escape or something out of here. And Howard Shore did the music for this one as well. So I like to take people down a lot of the Cronenberg movies because there's a good chance they did the composition for that one. So, but they just let it time out as well. They have escapes, they have skips, but they're not interested. Anything to look at here? No, I don't think so. Let's continue on. So we probably have 2 more games before we cross over here. And I think this is the opponent we just played. So we'll see if they ready up here. Since they gave up the last game, I have a feeling they're not going to want to play this game either. So we'll see. You know, I'm always curious when people do that. They just let the clock run down like this. You know, I feel like if you're not wanting to play the game, at least just go into a new tab and trigger the Googling Gary so that the time ends faster. It almost seems punitive, like they want me to sit here and just watch this timer go down. And all I'm doing is playing the game. I know I'm playing below my rating here, but it is what it is. So we get another easy win, and that hits us to exactly 1,300. Not the most exciting game here to end it out. But alas, here we are at the end of another run. And again, I hope you are enjoying this series. I'm interested to hear from you. You know, let me know what's your favorite Phillip Seymour Hoffman movie, or what else would you like to see in this series, or maybe other content on this game. But anyways, I will leave you with another famous goodbye movie quote, and that being, In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Goodbye.